name's David from My Business English at YouTube, and today we're looking at the difference between verbs and nouns for describing change. So apart from these verbs and nouns, we'll need to look at their pronunciation, if it's the same or different, the different grammar we need, and we'll put it into context with some examples. Some verbs have a very similar word as a noun. Some of them have a different pronunciation. For example, the verb to increase, stress on the second syllable, to increase, and the noun has the stress on the first syllable, an increase. Likewise, the verb to decrease, and the noun a decrease. Many verbs, though, are exactly the same as the noun. So, to rise, the verb, the noun, arise. To grow, the verb, the noun is growth or the growth. It's uncountable in this context, so we don't say a growth. So growth or the growth. To jump is the verb, a jump, the noun, and likewise to leap, the verb, and a leap, noun. Also, to fall, the verb, noun, a fall. To drop, verb, and noun, a drop. For a very quick and large fall, we have to plunge, the verb, and a plunge, noun. Now we can say to peak, or we have the noun a peak. The verb to fluctuate, stress on the first syllable, to fluctuate. Noun, a fluctuation. To recover. Noun, a recovery. Here are two verbs where there isn't a good noun, and so people use the gerund, which is the ing form, which is like a verb acting as a noun. So, to bottom out, and a bottoming out. There was a bottoming out in September, for example. Likewise, to level off, or a leveling off. The US spelling is one L before the ing, and the UK spelling is two L's before the ing. So let's look at usage. Now it's nice and simple to use the verb. For example, profits rose 10% in June, or profits rose by 10% in June. As we saw in video 1, here we're putting the topic of the rise first. So the topic of the rise is the subject. Profits comes first. How much we can put after the verb, either with by or without by. Compare that with using nouns, though, which we could introduce with there is or there was. So there was a 10% rise in profits, or there was a rise in profits of 10%. We're using in to show the topic of the rise, and that comes after the noun. And here we have two different ways of showing how much. So we can put the numeral or the number directly before the noun, so a 10% rise, or a rise in profits with a prepositional phrase of 10%. So two different ways, before or after the noun. But there are some times when we can only really use a noun phrase, and especially if we're getting more academic or formal, and we want to compare lots of different pieces of information, then in this case you can see two noun phrases. One, the June increase, was the biggest monthly rise noun in company history. So we're here comparing two different noun phrases, sort of saying A is equal to B, or it could be A is more or less than B, or was caused by B, or leads to B. But we're comparing two things. And you can see with noun phrases, sometimes we can pack lots of information before the noun, pre-qualifiers, or after the noun, post-qualifiers. So the biggest monthly what? Rise, and then prepositional phrase afterwards in company history. So to summarize, we've looked at some examples where there are verbs and nouns of change or for describing graphs. We've looked at similarities or differences in pronunciation, grammar, and put them in some examples. So, if you found this useful, please share and subscribe to My Business English at YouTube, and you might also be interested in my other YouTube channel, that's Grammar Songs for Learning English. Have a great day.